Bangalore Electricity Supply Company for extending 39,000 crores of financial assistance to the power utilities till March 2022. PV Ramesh, CMD of the company, is with us. Mr. Ramesh, good morning. Are you getting fairly sanguine about the power scenario in Karnataka state? Because that's a pretty large sum that we're talking about.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. We are sanguine about not only Karnataka but the entire country because as you can see, the power sector is undergoing a major transformation. I think the government has clearly defined the goals of what it wants to be by 2022, that is power for all, quality power for all, enhance substantially the generation capacity from the current 310 gigawatts to 540 gigawatts, modernize the entire transmission system, and increase the renewables, add another 175 gigawatt capacity overall, create a green corridor, strengthen the transmission infrastructure, both interstate and intrastate, create a national transmission grid, and then essentially strengthen the distribution network, modernize them, bring in smart meters, separate the feeders. For this, major investment is being made under Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana, which is a major flagship program of the government, and simultaneously under Uday, complete restructuring and reform of the DISCOMs is taking place. So obviously this would require an investment, an average investment of about 15 lakh crores in the next 5 years, and that's the sort of estimated cost. And REC being a major player in terms of financing, developing, supporting the state utilities, private sector, and working across the value chain, transmission, distribution, and generation, and the renewables. We obviously are at the center of this transformational process, and we are
Mr.
part
Ramesh,
of it, we drive it, yes.
Yeah, I take your point about all these
I'm
numbers.
Just trying to put it in a perspective.
No, I take all your goals, but are people returning money?
Right.
See, the big problem has been that DISCOMs are still settling their problems with the receivables from the state government. The Uday bonds have just been floated, but no DISCOM has put out a PPA. I mean, they're few and far between. Maybe 1 in 4 years or 2 in 4 years is all we have heard. So what is the NPA situation? It fell a little when you last reported. Will you see lower defaults in the current quarter?
Let me say, actually, we are focusing on our assets, so the quality of the assets and the timely completion of the projects. If you see yourself from the figures that we put out, our NPAs have fallen, and they will continue to fall because we are taking a very constructive approach to each of these. And actually, you would see at the end of the fourth quarter, when we report the figures, we would have a much lower NPAs.
Mr. Ramesh,
so we are working,
how much? I mean, they fell from 4,800 to 4,600 on December 31st when you reported the numbers. How much can we expect in March 31st? Will it be 2% GNPA?
Yes, I mean, we are expecting around that level. In the gross terms, maybe about 2.2%. And on the net, it may be 1.5 around that. Because of our consistent approach. I mean, it's not only our REC among the peers has the lowest exposure in terms of NPAs or stressed assets. Actually, if you look at the entire universe of the financial sector, but even there, many of us of these assets are also we are one of the co-financiers. We are not the major financiers. So obviously, we are working with our partners, with the co-lenders, to see that we take them to a standard level. So there is a very consistent approach among ourselves, internally within REC.
So Ramesh, you did
partners.
Sure, you did speak about how your overall impaired loans have come down, but within the private sector, your impaired loans have actually gone up in the quarter gone by to about 46% from 44% earlier. Are you seeing any major stress there, and what could the update be going ahead?
Yeah, actually, that's of concern. That's of general concern. That's overall amounts to the restructured assets amounts to about 10,000 crores in the private sector. But it is still among the lowest among those who are in the power sector financing. You know that there have been problems. Some of them have been systemic in terms of fuel supply and their gas-based plants. So there's a PPA issue. So those are being systematically resolved. At the government level, there's an approach, a comprehensive approach to address these issues. We, as financial institutions, are addressing them. Our exposure overall is still small in this sector, and then we are working with the borrowers to really salvage the situation. So let me make this clear now. I do not believe the situation is as bad, and I do not believe that we need to focus on this when there's so much that is happening in the overall power sector transformation, whether it is modernizing the entire system, extending power to the villages which didn't have power, electrifying every household in the country, which is nearly about 5 crores of them, and modernizing the discoms. Reducing the losses, and I think there's a phenomenal transformation that's taking place. I think we need to talk about the good story.
Yeah, but your good story, sir, Mr. Ramesh, your net interest income also in the 9 months fell by about 1%, actually fell by 0.9%. Will you clear the year with higher interest income?
Okay. You see, ultimately we need to talk about the profitability. That's what we are interested in. That's what our shareholders will look at. We are profitable because our volumes are increasing. We projected a disbursement of 45,000 crores for 16-17 financial year. We are likely to end up with closer to 60. So, we are increasing the volumes. We are increasing the quality of the assets which we are financing. We are supporting the borrowers in completing the projects on time. And so this has a much bigger impact in terms of profitability. And we continue to remain very robust in terms of our profitability. We have declared a dividend at the end of third quarter. You're aware of that, 7%. We are doing well in the market. Our shareholders have great confidence in us. We've just raised $400 million in the international markets and syndicated loan.
Sure. So, sir, if you could tell us, what kind of disbursement growth would you see in FY18? Because, I take all the long-term plans on board, but from market's point of view, the near-term numbers also matter. So, for FY18, what kind of numbers are we looking at?
Yeah, actually, you referred to Karnataka at the beginning of our conversation. We are actually having a memorandum of understanding, a framework agreement with each of the state governments. We've done that with the Andhra, we've done that with Karnataka, one with Jharkhand. We are now doing one with Maharashtra and Bihar, and we intend to do this with all the 29 states. This is basically a framework for both financing and value-added support for the next 5 years, essentially to the state public utilities and also to the private sector. So in a way, that will give us a clear path and a horizon for the next 5 years in terms of the financing needs of each of the states. This basically taking that we would provide, each state would provide power for all citizens, the industry, the agriculture by 2022, a quality 24/7 power. So that's the objective. So in that context, what we are expecting is a growth of, we've been growing around 10%, 8 to 10%. We expect to grow at least 15%, considering the big upswing in renewables, in transmission and the distribution modernization. And then we propose to continue the momentum. We are hoping to double our portfolio within a time frame of 4 to 5 years. And so that's the direction in which we are growing.
Okay.
And we believe that the fundamentals are strong. The market is...
Okay, Mr. Ramesh, we've run out of time. We would have loved to chat some more, but thank you so much for giving us details on REC.